G'day and welcome to a Down Under Yarn. Today is Sunday, the 11th of May, 2014, and this is episode number 69 of a Down Under Yarn. I'm your host Fiona, also known as Fifykins. If you find someone on the YouTubes called Fifykins, it's probably me. I am also the dyer behind Flair Fibres. And there are two Ravelry groups you can join. There is the A Down Under Yarn group, and there is also the Flair Fibres group. Now, while I am chatting away here, I was just going to double check because Down Under Yarn is sitting on 297 members. So if we get to 300 members at some stage in the near future, I'm sure we will have some form of drawing. And I have just, there we are. Sorry, I'm back here now. So, it's been about 10 days since I recorded. I had every intention of recording on Wednesday or Thursday, but then things just got away from me. We've had stunning weather here last week, and I've had the dye pots running really a lot. I'm getting ready to head to Minnesota, to Rochester for the zombie apocalypse, which I believe is in 40 days. I leave on the 15th of June, so that is, it's the 11th today, so just over a month. I have dyed up, I've worked it all up. I've got over 100 items in the shop, I think, or about 100 items in the shop, or is it 70 items in the shop? I think it's about 60 or 70 items in the shop, and I've got 150 odd skeins dyed up, and there will be a shop update later this week. I didn't have one last week because of the week that has been. There'll be a shop update this week, and I'll probably do another podcast just before then on Wednesday or Thursday. And I'm hoping today's been really overcast and really showery. We had lots of rain last night. We haven't had rain for a while, which means it's quite cool, which is really quite pleasant, but still. Yeah, so there'll be a shop update on Friday. And apart from that, there wasn't one this week because I've had such a busy week. Last weekend, I drove Imogen and her friend down to Townsville, which is about 350 k's away. It's about a 5-hour drive, though, for the Groove and the Moo Music Festival. We went down on the Saturday. We left just after lunch because Imogen was working in the morning and got there about 5:36ish. Of course, most of Imogen's friends were already down there because everyone was going to this music festival. And she went out to a movie with them. So I just had some time to myself, which was really, really nice. And I thought I was just going to spend all this time knitting. And in the end, I didn't. I sort of did some Ravelry browsing. I bought a bottle of red wine. I didn't drink it all. I actually finished the bottle last night, so I'm not that much of a lush, contrary to popular belief. So I got the bottle of wine, and I had that, and I had some takeaway tie in the apartment we were staying at, and just a really nice time. On Saturday, that was Saturday, Sunday, I dropped them off at the music festival at about 11ish, and we'd already arranged. Imogen's friend Alice, who came down with us, is away at boarding school down in Brisbane, and she'd convinced her mum. She used to live up here, and long story short, but her parents are in the military. Her father is, and they're based in Samoa at the moment. And I convinced them that Alice should fly up to catch up with Imogen and come down with us, and she'd miss a day of school. But I'd get her back because Imogen was going to go to school for half a day on Monday. So we were going to leave Townsville at about 5:36 o'clock in the morning. So I'm dropping the girls off, and I say, I'll meet you here, 10:30? And Imogen goes, no, it doesn't finish at 10:30. The last act starts at 10:30. And I'm like, how come this is the first time I'm hearing this? We'd already spent 2 hours trying to work out if we were wearing a red lipstick or a purple lipstick, and Imogen and I had huge barneys because I didn't want her wearing a strapless top in the sun all day, so it was a bit in the end, she wore a t-shirt and figured she looked like a hippie and didn't like it, and I thought she looked fine, and Alice thought she looked fine, but it wasn't what she was planning on wearing, and I was just a mean mum and all that sort of stuff that, teenage girls come out with, 16-year-old girls. So I dropped them off, and I thought, oh, will I have a nap? Won't I have a nap? And in the end, I went to, where did I go first? I went to the Homemaker Centre because they've got a Lincraft there. Now, Lincraft is like a chain store. I wasn't expecting much, but I thought it would have something different to Spotlight, which is what we have up here, the chain store we have up here. Yes, they did have some different things. The only thing I did buy, which I haven't brought out, is some eyelash yarn, and the only reason I brought that is because you can use it as the inside of the poppies for the 5,000 Poppies project. So it's the only reason I bought that, plus it was $1.49 a ball. So I got 2 balls of that. I'll show you my acquisitions, the other stuff I did kind of get there, which is sort of knitting related, but not really. One of them I didn't bring out, but I can tell you about it if I remember. In fact, if I don't remember, because I didn't bring it out, I'll tell you now. I got a stamp that's shaped like a sun, so I can do little cutouts of suns on the corner of my business cards. So, hey, it's just little things like that that I suppose cheer me up. And anyway, stuff like that I can find down there that I couldn't find up here. I browsed around all the cross-stitch section. I'm still not convinced I need to take up cross-stitching. Perhaps, when I retire, if that ever happens, whenever that happens. So we'll wait and see. So that was that. Then I went down to the new Stockland Shopping Centre, which has a new Myer in there, which is the big department store, and it's where I used to work up here. So I like looking at it because I know the philosophy, even though I've been gone from there now for what, 5 years, over 5-6 years. Some of the philosophies of visual merchandising, I like looking at that sort of stuff, looking at the way they're displaying things. I don't usually go clothes shopping, so I was able to look through it. It's all winter clothes, which you don't really need up here. I looked through the sale clearance racks, but everyone had been there before me. I could have got a couple of singlets for like $12, but I thought I can get them cheaper in Kmart, so I wasn't much point getting them there, especially if they were white ones. And me and white singlets, I just get marks on them, and they get ruined really quickly. So I thought, nah, I'll just get cheapies. Had a look around there. They've got a tea centre there, so I was able to get myself some tea. The tea centre has some really, really beautiful blends that T2 doesn't have, and I was able to pick up a couple there. I've got a really, really lovely green lime, Japanese lime green it's called, which is a really citrusy lime tea, which I've been brewing as iced tea, which has been really, really lovely. I also went to a couple of other things, just had a wander around, and little things like that which I don't get to do up here. I'm desperately in need of chopping boards, but I didn't buy any. I'm going to go to Kmart or Target or one of those places again, I think, to get chopping boards because they're cheap. And I only really need cheap chopping boards. I've always had wooden chopping boards, but my latest wooden chopping board, which is over 10 years old, I must admit, it's cracked and broken in half. I got a feeling it went through the dishwasher when it shouldn't have. But I don't like to say anything because it means they stop doing the dishwasher. So it's one of those catch-22s. Anyway, that's that. The other thing I did last weekend before we went down there, I went to a cupping session, which is a coffee thing. One of the local coffee shops here is doing sort of coffee appreciation, and each week they're doing cupping sessions, which is where you get to try different beans and detect the characteristics that, mainly single origin beans, so they come from one place and are all roasted sort of the same way type thing, and a single origin. And you try them, and it's part of it is developing your palate apparently. And it's a bit of fun, and it was lots of fun, and it was great having that big caffeine intake first thing on a Saturday morning, especially when I was driving to Townsville that afternoon. So I've got my AeroPress out. I love my AeroPress, and I've been making coffee every morning for myself and tea every afternoon, which seems to be working really well, which is the opposite of the way I grew up, which is quite funny. I grew up where you had tea in the morning, always had tea in the morning, and then you had coffee in the evening. If I have coffee now after about 3 o'clock, I don't sleep. So I just shifted things around. And I love my green teas, so I often have them in the evenings. But apart from that, this is not coffee and tea related. This is a knitting podcast, so I really should get onto the knitting. One of the reasons I didn't record on Wednesday is that I haven't done a lot of knitting. I haven't picked up the shawl I wanted to finish for Mother's Day, which is kind of distressing, but at the same time, I didn't want to give it to my friend on Mother's Day because it's for a friend of mine whose son died suddenly a month or two back. And I wasn't going to go out of my way to see her. I knew I wasn't catching up with her this week, so I do hope to finish that this week, though. So, what have I been working on? Imogen drove 1.5 hours on the way to Townsville, and I got 3 rows of knitting in. She's not bad. She's had quite a few driving lessons now. She has to get up her 100 hours. But at the same time, I'm not used to driving and sitting there and knitting because I'm the one usually driving. So it was different. But I did get 3 rows in on my low tide. So this is what I've done quite a bit of work on. This is my low tide cardigan by Tin Can Knits. It is something I cast on New Year's Day. It is in Wool Mice, the Aquarius colourway, which is a little bit greener than what's showing up on screen. One of my goals this year is to knit more garments and knit them in different constructions, because I've done raglan constructions quite frequently. So I did this where you knit the lace bands and then pick up for the rest of it. I also chose to then do the sleeves after I had picked up and been down a bit, and the buttonholes, because I have 3 skeins of the Wool Miser. Thought I would probably only be using 2, but I didn't want to have the second skein, run out of the first skein if I was alternating, use the second skein for the sleeves. I wanted the sleeves to be in the same skein that the lace was in. So I was alternating, going down. As you can see, I am in stockinette doom. The little Hoobie What's It thingo there, that's where I was last time I showed you, which was probably a few weeks ago. I got going on this yesterday and thought, I just got to finish it. And I got down to here last night and realised I've got technically, I think, 3 inches to go if I go by the pattern. And I thought I'll just try it on. Yeah, now I am never one usually to do gauge swatches. I do them occasionally. And I thought, nah, I won't bother with this one. It's pretty easy. If I can block the lace out to the right dimensions, no problems. So I did that, blocked out the lace to the right dimensions and thought, I'm fine. Nothing to worry about. Didn't think any more of it. Once I finished the sleeves, I did try on one of the sleeves and found it was too tight and had to bind it off again once I did that, and thought they were fine. Last night, I know it's still on the needles. I tried it on. Excuse me, I've got something in my mouth there. I tried it on and I thought, it's a bit tight. I think with buttons on, it will stretch out, but I'm worried about what the bit down there does if it's too tight. So I sort of got a bit frustrated with it and just tossed it aside. I do want to finish it because I want to use the needles for the Hitafude cardigan, which I will swatch for. But it will be a wait and see. I am using, this is the second skein. I still have quite a bit left. I think this is well over 100 grams, so I can definitely do quite a few more inches on it. You've got the same stitch number going down. Yeah, we'll wait and see. It's my fault, I didn't swatch. So we will see. But I'm hoping to do a few rows each day so I can just get it done, because I want it off the needles. And I've decided that fingering weight garments with lots of stockinette, probably not the right thing for me. Especially, I'm stockinette in the round I'm fine with, but back and forth stockinette where you're just pearl back rows. It's just doing my head in. So, I did cast on it. I took down to Townsville a ball of self-striping and some sock needles to cast on a second pair of the Mystic Spiral socks, but that didn't happen. I also took down some of my Vinnie's Yarns Serena, I think it was the Serena, that I got in South Africa, which is the bamboo yarn, to swatch, so I thought I might swatch for this one, for the Tink Tank, which is a Megan Williams pattern, a Megan who's just run it from the Stockinette Zombies, and they are having a summer top knit along at the moment, and I thought that'd be perfect, match made in heaven, although the yarn itself, it says that it's sport weight on the yarn page, but it's Vinnie's colours in South Africa, and I know it's that in England. In America, I think it's Bee Sweet Bamboo, and that's marked as DK. And the patterns for the Bee Sweet Bamboo, which is exactly the same yarn, is marked as DK. And I thought, so I thought Megan's pattern is for sport / DK, should work. I swatched on the 5mm needles, and I think the swatch was 4 stitches per, no, whatever it was. I was getting 3 or 4 extra stitches, and it was a really loose fabric. I'm thinking, So in the end, I decided that I wasn't going to use that for the Think Tank, and I may have put in an order with Bendigo Woolen Mills during the week as well to get some cotton, because everyone raves about the bendy cotton. I've never tried it. I don't have a lot of cotton in my stash, even though I live in the tropics. So I thought I might as well, it's cheap as chips, what you get. So I thought I might as well try that. But I did cast on a couple of things. First thing I cast on was a Milo vest. Now, Milo is one of the viral patterns on Ravelry. I'd say it's the most viral babies pattern, children's pattern. It is by Tiki Knits, and that is an Australian designer. And every May she has Milo May. And I usually knit a Milo in May, so I thought I might as well. I thought I would use some of my Zoya thick base, which is the DK base. And as you can see there, it has 2 plies of merino, 1 ply of superwash merino. So the dye takes up at a different rate. This is the Eyes Have It, which is my really blue colour, which is similar to the colour of my eyes, even though you can't see that at the moment. And was sort of named by Mimel. Anyway, here's my little Milo that I started. This is going to be a shop sample. There are a number of different braids or cables you can choose to do. I'm doing a very special cable, and I'm sure people are going to pick up. The designer who designed the cable is probably going to pick up if she's watching, because this is going off to someone special after the ZK. And they probably just spelled it for her if she's watching. If she's not, that's okay. But there you go. It's a very pretty little cable going down there. It's a really pretty colour. I really like it. I'm cabling without a cable needle and doing it okay. I've worked out that perhaps I am quite a tight knitter at the moment, because cabling without the cable needle, when I was going into stitches, it was getting quite tight. So I'm making effort, especially on the rest rows, for want of a better term, to be much looser. I am knitting this on, I don't know what size needles. I'm doing it whatever the pattern suggests. And Tiki says, really clever thing she says, especially for babies' garments, is that babies don't grow outwards like a lot of adults do. Babies grow up and down. So she said often you can get more wear out of something just by adding to the length. So I'll see how I go with this and might add a bit to the length. But yeah, I needed something in this yarn for a shop sample, and as you can see, I wanted something that did have both stockinette and garter stitch. You can see the tweedy effect that the yarn has from having the mix of superwash and non-superwash yarn. So that is that one. The other thing I cast on is a brand new sock release, which I was meant to be a test knitter last weekend, but went to Townsville and forgot to take the yarn with me, and read through the pattern, and everything seems to be good, and it's been released, and it is called Kitten Polka Socks by Lisa Tomko. My friend Lisa, who is Lisa Mary K1 on Ravelry, I believe. But this is the Kitten Polka Socks, which is a reference from Buffy, and I've just cast these on last night, and you can't really see it at the moment, but it's almost going to be like a mock cable. That's on one side. That's the other side. Again, I can use these as a shop sample and give them to my mother afterwards. Pardon me for this year. This is the Yi base in Solar Flair Fibres, which is Australian. It is 75% Australian wool, 25% nylon. It's a heavy fingering base. I'm still using my 2.5mm needles. I'm not planning on doing these for me because the stitch count around is not what I would normally do for me. But it's a stitch count that I did for my mother last year, and that fitted her, so I'm hoping that this will fit her as well. This colourway is Sea Glass, which is one of my favourite colourways, and I'm not minding knitting this at all. It's taken very little time, even though it's got twisted rib at the top. I'm not a fan of 1x1 rib, but if I do 1x1 rib, I like doing twisted rib, because the needle's going the same way. That's the only reason. It's just laziness. I think that's all I've got on the needles at the moment that I've been working on this week. Spinning wise, I need to get some spinning done. This week is the, what's it called? Australian Tourism Exchange Conference is meeting in Cairns. Now, the Australian Tourism Exchange apparently is all the people from around the world who write the travel brochures. I am a child of the internet now and don't usually use travel brochures, but lots of people still do. And they're coming to Cairns this year for their annual conference. One of the things that Tourism Tropical North Queensland has decided, is in the mornings as some sort of, they're calling it entertainment, I believe, is they're trying to get local artists and craftspeople to display their work and do some working between the hours of 7 and 8:30 in the hotels that people will be staying at. And I heard about this through the fibre crafters and contacted them and said, yes, I dye and I spin and I knit and I do all these sorts of things. And they said, well, can you be there to spin between 7 and 8:30? We will give you a little table for you to display your goods on. You can't sell anything, but you can have business cards there. You can talk to people, say good morning to them, and just sit there and spin. And I thought, oh, that sounds okay. Then they came back and said, and we'll pay you $125. And I went, oh yes, I'll be there. So I'm doing that 2 days this week. I have two different Ridges hotels to go to. I know them both from when I used to work and travelled around hotels. I'm sure the management has changed since I was doing that though. So I'm going to take along some in-work progress, some finished spinning, and do some spinning. I have a bit of undyed BFL lying around, which I'm going to just dye up for myself randomly and spin some of that as well, because the Cairns show's coming up, and one of the categories for entry is something that you have done three things to, an item that has had three different crafting techniques. So I am going to dye the fibre, spin the fibre, and knit the fibre. I am one of the few people up here, apparently, especially in our fibre crafters group, who dyes the fibre before I spin it. Up here, a lot of people spin their fibre and then dye it. I think I would go crazy spinning white fibre all the time. So we'll see how that goes. I have only dyed a little bit of fibre before, and it's something I will possibly get into at some stage, but not yet. I'm trying not to expand too much too soon. So I haven't got any spinning to show you. I do have on the wheel at the moment a BFL, a Humbug BFL, and I'm going to have to finish some of that anyway. Even if I do spin a bit of that. I'm hoping if I finish one bobbin today, which is almost done, get the second bobbin at least going, then I can possibly ply it or do something. I'm two plying this one, so I will need to get both bobbins done before I ply. We'll see what I can do and what I've got time to do, because life is really busy at the moment. And now, acquisitions. Sit down, because this could take a while. Let's start by Townsville. I was in Lincraft and came across some heads. Now, as I said, the Cairns show's coming up, and one of the things I noticed last year is that people who displayed their own items nicely did very well. So, because two heads are better than one, I got two heads because they were going cheap, and I just popped this hat on, which I've showed you before, just to show you that it's a really, really nice fit, and I should be able to display my hats nicely for the show. So that was that. I just found that kind of cute. Now, okay. I got a little carried away at Easter and decided I need to get myself a couple of Easter presents. So I did. I think before that though, oh, where is this? I'm here, I'm talking to you, and here we go. There we are. Yeah, you can see the organza bag already, and a lot of people are going, oh, how did you do that? I don't know how I did this. Lollipop Yarn has updates, and one day my updates are going to be like hers, and they're just going to fly off in 30 seconds. No, they're not. It's okay. She had an update, and I'd looked at all the previews and thought, yeah, no, I really want that colour and that colour and that colour, and they're not there this week, but that's okay. And then I was looking at the pre-orders, and I thought, oh, purple and green. I love purples and greens. And I thought, I'll see. So it's 9 a.m. my time for the update. And I came outside, and I get all sorts of things sent through to my iPhone. And at 9 o'clock, I get time to exercise my brain, which I don't actually do because I think it's Luminosity or one of those programs. I still don't do it, but it comes through, and it just triggered. The thing that it did trigger though was, oh, it's Lollipop Yarn update time. So I didn't have the website open, didn't have the Etsy open, didn't have anything logged in. And I thought, oh, I've probably missed it anyway. So I sat down. There goes my little bag. I sat down and opened it up and thought, well, there's still some there for the pre-order for the lavender fields, which was the purple and green. And I thought, oh, look, I'll see. So I put one in my cart, went there, and then I went to check out, and it had credit card. There must be a thing to press PayPal, but I'd press credit card. And it had my 2 credit cards there, and here's me sitting there trying to work out which one's the business account and which one's my account, because I didn't want to pay with the business account for this, I wanted to pay with my account. And by the time I worked that out, it'd take me about a minute, and I thought, oh, well and truly be card-jacked now. Don't stress. And went to check out, and I got it. And I think I got the last one, because when I went back, there were none left. So, here we have it. It is really beautiful yarn. This is 75% superwashable, 25% nylon stock yarn, marine washable, machine washable, 100 grams, approximately 420 yards, 8 to 9 stitches an inch, etc., etc., etc. So that is a really good representation, because you can see the different greens and the different purples. So 6 rows of French lavender, 6 rows of leaf, 6 rows of English lavender, 6 rows of stem. And really looking forward to knitting up with this. People talk about it all the time, and I'm just like, I want to use that too. So that is my lollipop yarn, and I'm really glad that came. The other thing, and I've just taken off the first round, which means that I've got to cast it on soon. Beautifully presented, really, really nicely presented. The other thing I did on Easter Day is went to Stray Cat Socks. Now, Stray Cat is a New Zealand dyer who, again, dyes self-striping yarn. Now, I know I've said before, if you get self-striping yarn, it's not considered stash. Yeah, well, this was my Easter gift to myself. So again, beautifully presented. This one's a lot denser than the lollipop yarn. It's almost like a cricket ball. It's probably more a softball size, but I'm thinking, I can probably practice my googlies or whatever they are. Stray Cat Socks, hand-dyed self-striping yarn from New Zealand, 75% superwash, wool, 25% nylon, about 437 yards. 100 grams, 3.5 ounces. Yep, with a needle size. This is called, I did have it on here, Holy Moly! And I really like it. It's got a gorgeous blue, a gorgeous pink, and a gorgeous grey. So that is that. And it comes in this beautiful takeaway box. Really, really nicely presented. So that is my Easter present to myself. One of my Easter presents to myself. So there we go. Stray Cat Socks. Really recommend checking them out as well. The hilarious thing was, I was talking to Josh, who is sort of a knitter, and I was telling him about it, and he was looking for self-striping yarn that he hadn't tried yet, and we went there. I ordered mine on whatever day it was. He ordered his the following day. He got his 2 days before I got mine. Go figure, Australia Post. Australia Post is just doing my head in at the moment. I had one club shipment went astray. One was my fault, and I sent it to the wrong address, and anyway, that should make its way back here. One's gone astray. I'm not sure how, because it's went to a PO box. It's just in the ether. I've got the tracking number. Look at the tracking number, and it says it's been received, but nothing there. So, go figure. And coming from New Zealand, it got to America before it got here. Yeah. Anyway, it got here, and that is the main thing. I did get some spinning fibre, which I meant to bring out, and I forgot, and it's sitting over there. Other thing I got. Ixchel Fibres and Yarns. Who is Ixchel Bunny? I think it's Ixchel Bunny. I met her at Bendigo last year and got some fibre, which is my next to next fitting up fibre. She had an update. Now, she does her updates differently. She does them through her blog, and it's basically through Facebook as well. If you like something that's gone up there, you message her, and she says yes or no if you can have it, basically, if she's still got it there. I saw a blog post go up, so I'm a friend with her on Facebook plus her company, so I saw it twice and went, ooh, and it was rainbow themed. And after I've got mine, I pinged, who did I ping? I pinged Charlotte, who I know is Sunrise Sister, who is a huge Rainbow fan, and of course I pinged Silly Fruit. So I may have enabled them. I got, look at this, this is long repeat, lace weight, single ply yarn. Now, 700 meters per 100 grams, and this is between 290 and 310 grams. I haven't actually weighed it yet. So I'm looking at having over 2,000 yards, 2,000 meters of lace weight singles in long repeating yarn. So there you go. And for all that, $60, and I think that's exceptional value. So there's the tag from it. You can see that 100% eco wool hand wash, of course, Ixchel, and I will link her blog in the show notes. And I'm going to do a pie shawl with it. And I'm not saying I'm designing or anything. I do have the Elizabeth Zimmerman book, the year or whatever it was, where she talks about pie shawls and how they are the perfect summer holiday knitting, because you can just do it as you go, and as long as you make it up on the way. With a pie shawl, it has set increases on the way out. I'm going to do that and see how far I go. Do some very simple lace patterns in there, borrow from some people, do my own, that sort of thing, and yeah, see how I go with it, how far I get. I don't believe it is long repeat as in 400 yards of red, 400 yards of orange. I believe it's all mixed through there. So it's not going to matter if I get to 1,500 yards and go, I've had enough of this, this is it, I'm off. But yeah, we will see. I won't put an edging on it because I don't want the edging to go around. I will put an edging on that is knit that way, which means I'll have several hundred stitches on the needle and probably be well and truly sick of it by then. But so happy to have it and glad I picked it up. At the moment, I'm going to Bendigo this year, and I thought, I'm not really doing a shop update this week, but I just thought I'd say my plans, let you know what my plans are. So I have the Stockinette Zombie Retreat, the Zombie Knit Apocalypse, the ZK, coming up in Minnesota in June. I will be there for that, and I'm super duper excited about that. I then come back here. I'm going down to Bendigo for the end of mid-July. I am not vending at Bendigo, but what I am going to do, and I'll get this out there now, is I'm going to have a basket of mini skeins, or it won't be a basket, it'll probably be a bag that I'll carry around, and if you see me, you will get that. I will also have a deal for Australians for the end of July, probably end of July, where because I'm not going, I will have a special opportunity for Australian shoppers. And we'll see if that opportunity, if I can extend that to overseas shoppers as well in some sort of form. To actually vend inside Bendigo is a little bit, it costs quite a bit of money, and I'm just wary that I'm doing all this dyeing for the Zombie Knit Apocalypse, and I don't want to extend myself where I get back and have 3 weeks to dye up, similar amounts of yarn to vend down there. So this year I thought I would go down and just catch up with people, which is part of the joy of Bendigo as well. Bendigo is almost like our Rhinebeck, I suppose, where it's when the Australian knitting community can get together. I know Joyce is going to be there, and we're probably going to have some sort of podcaster meetup this year because there's a few of us now. So Joyce is going, and so is Holly. Holly's going to be there as well. So we'll get together, make sure we find out when it is, and it will be at the muster, I would say. And if I do vend next year, I will probably vend at the muster if they let me. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Or else I might get together in a bit of a co-op situation with a couple of other people. I know a couple of other dyers who might be interested in that. Or I'll just do what I'm doing this year. There is in August in Brisbane a special bead, it's a bead something or other, bead extravaganza type thing. Let me tell you if I've still got it here, because I know I've got it. It's a knitting and fibre show, which is part of the the bead show, which comes to 3 states, but in Brisbane this year they're having a knitting and fibre show with it. So at the moment, I'm probably 60 to 70% going to go down for that. Again, it's going to cost money, but it's one of those exposure things, plus I'm going to get to catch up with people and use it as a business expense, which I really like doing. So that is that. That's my plans for this year at the moment. And then next year we'll wait and see. Next year the world. Nah, not really, but you know what I mean. I am, as I said, it'll be an update on Friday. I hope to have some more gradients. I went to Wine Gradients the other day, and something I got I had a couple of days where Jasper, that was the week before as well, before I went. That's one of the reasons I was behind. 2 days in a row, I got called up to school to pick up Jasper, who wasn't well. So, it just takes out a huge chunk of your day. And yeah, I did a sleep study last week. That's the other thing I did, where they hooked me up to all sorts of machines that didn't actually go ping, but they should have gone ping. I had, things stuck here, there, and everywhere. There are photos up on Instagram of it. Worst thing was I had to have an oxygen level on my finger, and that meant my finger was straight all night. And when I woke up, that was the worst bit of it. I had my average night's sleep. They don't think I've got sleep apnea. Apparently I don't snore, but I'm never waking up refreshed, and it could be stress, it could be lots of things, but my GP wants to rule out sleep apnea, and there is a crowd that's doing take-home sleep studies, which is what I did, where I went in at 5 o'clock, got hooked up, and then when I went to bed, had to basically just put a couple of nodes on my legs, and the one on my finger, and there was something else, I think, the nasal prongs had to go in. So that was that. And I'll get the results of that in a couple of weeks. So that'll be quite funny. I hope I don't have sleep apnea, because that'd be awful, having to wear that mask every night and have an oxygen tank and stuff. But still, the other thing, there was something else. That's about it. I've rabbited on long enough. And I've got lots of knitting I want to do. And some warping for some gradients, which I'm having fun doing. So, until next time, I will say, uru, cheers, bye.